Hey everybody, welcome back to Wrenchin with Grandpa. Man, it's been cold out here in Georgia. Thank God, not nearly as cold as it has been everywhere else in the world. But we're having some fun. We got out here. It actually was up to the balmy, I don't know, late high 40s, maybe low 50s today. And so got out here and got to messing around with some things. And my partner, my wingman, my guru, Jerry, is in the house. Hey Jerry, how you doing?
Hey everybody.
So Jerry's come out and we've been looking over everything that I've been messing around with in here, and he's decided that I need to bring it out to his place and leave it alone so he can fix it the right way. What? We got all kinds of things going on, and I want to just give you a quick overview of what's been going on and where we're at, and then Jerry and I are going to talk about the future and what we're actually going to try to look at getting done here real soon so we can get this girl really going in the right direction. To give you a quick update, we may try to do this while we're on camera. We do have the trim piece that goes over here on this door panel. So we're probably going to go ahead and pop those handles off, pop the door card, go ahead and install that chrome and put the panel and everything back on that. The idea in the future, we're still looking to find a good source for all of our window weather stripping, our felt padding, all that. The wing window trim and weather stripping is all in excellent condition. Also, when we do the color match for the rest of the car, we're going to come in all this black door, metal, our windshield, our dashboard, back in our cargo area. These areas we're all looking to color match to the yellow, as well as our armrests. So that'll help brighten up our interior a little bit. We currently have two of the four dashboard gauges operational, or they were before I started tearing everything apart in the engine. So that's going along real well. We'll give a quick look back here. Decided to go ahead and pull the back seat out since I hadn't done that yet, and I'm still trying to figure out how all of this interior luggage and trunk panels and everything go in. And I want to tell you, it's been an experience in learning about these old Mopars, these Plymouths, this Barracuda. So I've been doing a lot of cleaning, vacuuming, removal of squirrel debris. And I want to tell you something, a lot of people don't know this, but in these older cars, particularly stuff back, way back, but even up into the late mid 60s, a lot of the upholstery padding, the stuff that was behind the vinyl, the leather, the cloth, whatever, was a combination of horsehair and cotton backed with burlap, as this is. And with this car sitting as long as it has, and this is one of the big problems when you come across these old classics, one thing you got to contend with is, oh my goodness, the rodents just love this stuff. This is some of the best nesting material they can have, and they love this stuff. And I can tell you, after 30 years in the pest control industry, I know this to be a fact. So no more rodents, and we'll get this all cleaned up, have kind of wire brush some of the rust on some of the springs and stuff, but it's really in pretty decent shape. Just needs a little TLC. We're going to do some deodorizing and sanitizing of all that to get it ready to put back in. We've also got the separation board that goes in between the trunk and the rear seating area. Been doing a little work on that, getting the hinges cleaned up so that it will pivot as we in its attachment, which is back in here. We also have this, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly how all this goes together, but it's all in pretty good shape. I did come across a wonderful deal, and I want to reach out today and say a new friend from one of my Facebook groups, a gentleman named Patrick O'Brien, and I've gotten together, and he is sending me all of the chrome trim pieces that go back in this trunk and luggage compartment and second row area. Now, I've got a fair amount of it, maybe all of it, but after he and I talked and I saw what he had, he gave me a great deal on it, and so that'll be coming soon. So we'll have some fresh and extra chrome to make sure we've got everything we need to finish out that back there. Now, I have found that the window regulators in these back panel and these back windows, oh, they need some loving. They're old and they're rusty. So at some point we'll be popping those quarters off, getting back into these regulators and lubricating them and cleaning them and getting them back up to shape. So right now that one does roll down, this one does not. But we've got the hardware, we've got the armrest, that's all in good shape. So we got the parts. Again, we just got to get her fixed up a little bit and cleaned up and lubricated. So that's where we are with that. We have the second console that we've discussed about earlier. And it appears to be that it may very well be in better shape than the one that's in the car right now. We do have the console storage compartment door to go on the console that's in the car, as well as the trim door kick plate and the back seat upper part with the chrome rail sitting here on the garage floor. So the decision will be at some point, not right now, as to whether we go ahead and change out this console with the other one. And right now I'm leaning towards that because the chrome on that other one is in better shape. So that'll probably be replaced. And let's see what else. Well, you know, we got the radiator out of the way so I don't fall over it and break it and have to buy another one. We got all new belts and hoses and been working on some of this stuff. This is the engine compartment hood weather seal, front seal, and oh my goodness, this poor stuff was in just horrible condition. I mean, it was coated in years of dirt, grease, paint, and just like hard as rock. And so I'm working on rejuvenating this stuff using the Super Clean. This stuff is a great degreaser. Hosing it down, letting it set, and at one point, which will be soon, you won't see it on camera, but I'll take this into my wife's kitchen. She'll kill me. I have to do it after she goes to bed so she doesn't see me doing it. But I'll get under the hot water with my wire brush and clean all this off. And I want to tell you something. Once you've done that, got all that crap cleaned off of it, then I can go back with one of my Meguiar rubber restoration sprays and get it softened up, and we can reinstall it and it'll be like brand new. So we'll be doing that too. Got to finish the restoration on the basket grates, but right now that's not a big deal. So we got Jerry out here today with us, and he's already gotten the wrenches going, and we're going to see what we can do here. Jerry, what are you thinking? What do we need to do right now to kind of get this thing going forward? You and I have talked, and you're thinking we need to get the new water pump and stuff on it and kind of get it just back on the road and running so we can get it out to your shop and get it up on the lift.
Yeah, I think the best thing we can do right now is get it back to running, get it back to operating like it's supposed to. Make sure this thing doesn't have any more leaks or make sure the gauges are working, stuff like that. Just kind of give it a good, thorough once over so we can get it out to the lift and really go over it real well there. We can change all the fluids out. It's a lot easier to swap out fluids when she's up off the ground. So
yeah, it's a lot less splatter in the face.
A lot splatter in the face. You can corral everything a little easier. It's you know, we can swap out these motor mounts and transmission mounts then at the same time, because you always want to swap those out as a set, if you will. You don't want to have one that has more slop in it than the other, because then it just creates havoc and issues. So if you change one, you got to change them all.
Well, that's the only right thing to do. I mean,
That
if
is
you're
the
going to do
correct
it,
way
do
to
it
do it.
all.
That is the correct way to do things.
Yeah.
So, not necessarily the cheapest way, but it is the correct way.
Well, cheap is never a long-term fix. So I have to be honest with you. It was late at night. I was tired. When I pulled that pump off, I'm not sure I put all these bolts back in the place where they came. I figured I got most of them in the right places, but again, when we start putting the new pump on there, I guess we'll find that out.
Oh yeah, we'll figure it out real quick.
Hey, I got too much slack in this one.
Uh-oh. Yep. No. Everything will be fine. We'll get it all put together and
Yeah. Now,
just cleaning these bolts off. It's really important to make sure that these threads are fairly dry, just so that you don't hydrolock inside this aluminum here, because that can cause a big problem later on with cracking this cast aluminum.
well, that was one thing I found when I pulled that pump off. None of the bolts were correct. I mean, you had some that were over tight, some that weren't tight. You know, kind of all over the spectrum as far as pound footage on torque. So I was really glad that we didn't have any water leaks from that pump based on that, because it wasn't leaking. But we can show you real quickly here the old pump that came off of it. She's looking pretty rough, and you can see down here she had a lot of crap going on. And I have to tell you, from looking at it, it looks like somebody was using some sort of stop leak, or somebody had maybe tried to over seal the gasket and put too much on it, and it kind of got all over everything inside the housing. I mean, it worked, but it wasn't that great. The outlets were pretty deteriorated, so it was a good thing to go ahead and see about getting something new. And after a couple of trips to the parts store, and a wonderful lady that manages my local store and has worked with me in this whole process, named Jana at the Advanced Auto Parts Store here in my hometown, we got the new pump, and it's a CarQuest, which, you know, we use plenty of their products, haven't had any problems. Jerry, have you had any problems with using their parts?
No, sir, I sure haven't.
Well, that's good, because they're, you know, reasonably affordable, and for us guys operating on a beer bottle budget, you know. You know, I gotta tell you something. It's kind of hard to open some of these boxes one-handed.
Let me get that.
Here, hold my beer. So this is what we got. We got,
The all-important gasket.
oh yeah, I gotta have that. Back in the day, we used to have to cut those gaskets out of sheet cork board, which it was always fun if you didn't have a sharp razor blade.
Comparing against the other one, huh?
Yeah, well, you know, at the store on the counter, this one appears to be the right one to replace the one we took off of it. And it appears that, as I've said before, this is a 73 model 318 off of a New Yorker. At least that's what this water pump fits, and it looks just like the one that came off of it. So we got northern cod. No catfish here.
All right. Well, we have instructions. But we're men. We don't
Do,
need those.
do you ever read these?
Every now and then.
I like to look at them in Spanish. That way I can learn Spanish. But, you know, I haven't been very well versed in that. I can order a beer and a burrito at Taco Bell.
Oh, it looks like they gave us two, huh?
Yeah,
Score.
I'm not sure why that is, but
Score.
you know,
That's called a score.
yeah, extra parts for free. Never go wrong with that.
Thank you, CarQuest. Whoever got a 318 water pump and didn't receive a gasket, sorry.
You're lost, not
Sorry,
ours. Look for an extra on eBay. We'll make this a profitable build if we have to.
All right. So,
All
now,
right.
do we have any RTV?
Well, we're supposed to have. Let me see. I think it's over here on the shelf. Let me go stumble around here. I don't think
Let me see if I can scooch through over here.
I don't think. Ah, here we go. I think it's right here. Haven't even taken it out of the package.
Oh, nice.
I'm assuming that is the appropriate product.
Yep.
Damn, I got one right. It's always embarrassing going back to the parts store and telling them you got the wrong stuff, like when it's oil or window cleaner, much less parts. Yeah, we get this thing out to your place, and we can also, and we've already discussed this, but do a compression test, because I'm really the opinion that we've got a pretty solid block here, and I think this will be a nice little engine that we can go ahead and get into a position where it's a good daily driver, it's functioning well, it's got some good solid life in it, and then as we've talked off camera today, maybe find us a second engine, maybe up to a 340, that we can go ahead and trick out and do all of the engine color matching, as well as give it a little more performance options than what the 318 will be. But this 318, particularly right now, if we go ahead and maybe do an intake and carburetor upgrade to a 4-barrel, based on a good compression test, and we'll pull the covers and check how the rockers and all that look. And if everything looks to be pretty solid, we can go ahead and put this thing back together and just, kind of give her a good refresh. Maybe a little upgrade with some carburation upgrades. And of course, with a new exhaust system, it'll be a great, solid little running car.
Maybe I can talk you into doing that Holly EFI fuel injection system too, man.
Well, this might be a great engine to explore that, and doing that with, because it would certainly be something that's, as far as I know, I haven't seen anything where anybody's tried that injection system on this old engine yet. So it very well may be something we can do. Hey, I'm not opposed to it. If I got enough pennies in my penny jar to cover it, it's something we can do.
Yeah, maybe a long-term goal idea.
Yeah.
I think that'd be all right.
If there's any rich elderly ladies out there who like old cars and would like to send Grandpa, a little bit of cash to help, sponsor this, never gonna turn those down. Thank you, Jesus. But no, what you need, my friend?
Oh, we're just working our way towards this.
Yeah, well. Yeah, I mean, all in all, she's in really good shape as far as overall solid, no rust.
And I'm only putting a real thin layer of this RTV on here. Really, just to kind of help tack up on the gasket. As you can see, I just put the gasket on there just to allow it to start tacking up.
Well, that's something that I've noticed over a lot of videos and time, is that people seem to think that they got to put way more stuff on there than you need. And a lot of times that's just really detrimental to it.
Yeah, it's this is definitely not the adage of more is better. This is, sometimes it can be the actual gasket itself, but in a lot of ways you don't need nearly half of what you put on there. It can get kind of frustrating as somebody who does this. when you grab onto something, you're like, how much stuff did you put on this thing? Holy smokes.
Yeah.
You really didn't want this thing going anywhere.
It's like having one bolt in the head that somebody used half a tube of Loctite on.
Oh my
Well,
God.
what the heck was that all about?
What were you doing?
Yeah.
What did this thing do to you?
Yeah. Don't know what they've been smoking, but they shouldn't have been in the car working on the engine at that point.
Well, that one doesn't.
Yes, like I said, I wasn't quite sure where they went. I just tried to get them out of the way and make sure I didn't lose them. Thought I had most of them kind of in the right place, but
Well,
I know,
might
of course.
be a little long.
Yeah, well, that one might be a little long because we've still got the attachment for the power steering pump as well that I think attaches up on that. I could refer
This
to.
is the power steering one, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Well,
Well, no, wait a minute. No, that one.
because this one was over here.
Yeah, that one's over there, and apparently the spacer. Now, this is something I'm wondering about. Look at that spacer,
Oh
Jerry.
yeah, it's completely oblong.
Well, and it's like, I don't know, wood or something. It's not even metal. And from what I've seen, this is supposed to be like a spacer for the alternator bracket and or the air conditioning bracket. But I don't know. That looked real sketchy. I mean, if you put the bracketry for the alternator back on and everything, if you go to cinch it down and torque it, I'm afraid you're just going to blow this thing apart because it doesn't really
Why don't we
look
just
like
leave
that's
that
what it
little
was.
guy right there.
I'm not sure that's what that was made for.
We can work on finding another spacer.
Oh yeah, I'm sure with all the crap I've got over there in the drawers and jars and on the counter, we can come up with a spacer, some sort. Certainly nothing any worse than that one.
I'd rather have a bunch of washers.
Yeah, well, I got a few of those. You know, that's the thing. I got probably 10,000 different kinds of screws, nuts, bolts, and nails, and fasteners over there, and you never can find the one you need. And when it comes to washers, I have to say my washer stock is probably pathetic right now because I can never find a washer that works for anything.
This will be interesting.
Yeah, I know. I should have taken all this
Oh,
out,
it's-
put it in a
it's all
cardboard.
over.
You know, I should have marked everything.
Oh.
But hey, it was late at night. I just wanted to turn some bolts, and I didn't really think about
Hey
it.
man, I'm not hating on you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been out at your place a time or two, and I didn't know how you managed to find everything that you were needing to
I
look
don't know
for.
how I managed to find everything I need to do.
Like, well, this looks like it might work there. Let's try it.
I think it'll work. I don't know.
Yeah.
You haven't. Yeah, there we go.
I have more tools available. I just, you know, these are the
Well,
ones that I kind of used it recently, and so I left them here. Yeah, I really think, you know, getting that little two-barrel carb off of it with a nice aluminum intake and, you know, would really help this engine a bunch.
Oh yeah, it's never gonna hurt it unless you go way too big.
Yeah. Well, now let me ask your opinion because I've seen some things online with some of these things, and I'm no professional mechanic. I'm a DIY guy or DUI, whatever. Yeah, no, not a DUI
No, let's
guy.
not do
No,
the
I'm not a
DUI.
DUI guy. Thank goodness
That's
for that.
bad for you kids.
Yeah, no, we don't go down that road. But I'm old school, and I grew up with a whole different terminology of some of this stuff. But when we start getting into talking about things like, you know, displacement, and now they're talking about, you know, cubic inch or liters and things like that, it's, you know, a little discerning for somebody like me who's old school and haven't really kept up with it that much. But it would seem to me, from what I've seen, can you put the heads and a roller kit for a 340 on this 318?
Absolutely, it's the same engine family.
Well, I thought it was from what I see. It's just basically a what, larger bore?
Yes, a 340 had a very big bore. They were a factory high performance engine that was designed to go essentially run with the big blocks.
So what were they running compression wise? Were they running
They were
like
running
8, 10?
No, they were running probably high 10s, 11s in compression ratio. And like for instance, this little engine here probably running a mid 9. Dodge back in the day liked to run compression. They were the last ones to really give up the big block and the heyday of the muscle car era. They were hit hardest by it because they had to reduce compression ratios and things like that so they could get within EPA standards of the day. And they felt it the worst when they had to kill off the Hemi, the original 426, and this and such. The 440 was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the last big block car. Was in the mid 70s.
Yeah, they really got away from that engine probably, what, about 73, 74, I think?
Late 70s, actually.
Really? They went that far?
Yeah,
I don't
they
recall really seeing some of those later Dodges with that size engine in
Yeah,
them.
they were wheezers, really. They sucked on compression ratio. The heads didn't flow nearly as good. They used...
Well, and they were putting restrictor plates on their carburation system, too, to cut down on some of that horsepower, weren't they?
Oh, sure. I mean, that was more of a racing thing, but they would restrict, what carburetors they were putting on things, so they could get better mileage. In the name of mileage, it was, I guess Dodge got late on the memo of like save weight, don't put big blocks in. So
Iacocca was going, I didn't get the memo.
But they started saving weight by block material, alloys, taking some of the nickel out of it. They were ingenuitive in some of their weight saving ways.
Well, that's when you started seeing a bigger introduction of the aluminum parts in the engines, too, wasn't it?
Well, the aluminum parts were really introduced, say, the early 60s, late 50s introduction as far as like exotics of the day.
Yeah. Well, certainly a lot of those exotics were coming from the racing side.
Oh,
like,
of course. Absolutely.
and so they were building blocks and everything out of aluminum. But when it got down to production cars, they started looking at things like, well, I mean, something as simple as like the water pump or the timing chain cover. Steel versus aluminum, you're saving 40% of your weight right there in just these little pieces.
Sure, but in durability as well, if maintained properly. A lot of the materials of the day, they were still trying to figure out like the alloying properties to make it last, even if somebody neglected the vehicle. Having things warp because people would just run it till it just quit.
Oh no!
What do you mean it doesn't work no more?
Well, I changed the oil 15,000 miles ago.
Yeah, we still are. We still have that argument today. So, but yeah, you have a lot of issues with, at the time they didn't understand that when two metals touch, it wasn't common knowledge that those things corrode.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. People don't realize that. And metallurgy technology in engines has advanced so much over the past 100 years. It's really crazy. I mean,
really, in the last 20 years,
yeah.
it has leapt forward so much where you would not think that you would have a high performance engine that would be made of aluminum and still get you 30 miles per gallon if driven with a light foot. Yet still be able to knock out 400, almost 500 horsepower at the flywheel at wide open throttle.
Yeah.
So things have changed, and
There's no doubt about that.
we live in a nice age for that. So,
well, and that's a nice thing because guys like you and me, we can take these old school cars that are classic in their design, their performance capabilities, and put some modern technology with what they are, because this is really solid technology that really brought the auto industry to where it is today, and through these years and decades of the 60s, 70s, and even into the maybe early 80s, wouldn't you say?
I mean, I would absolutely agree with that. I mean, this technology here is what really built and defined a lot of industry when it came to trucks.
Oh yeah.
This little motor right here was Dodge's bread and butter motor. It saved people's lives as far as like being in ambulances, police cars. It built America because you had a lot of trucks that were running around with this motor in there that were taking people to and from and materials to and from to build what needed to be built.
No doubt, no doubt. So, now we've reached a point where refinement of technology and modern remod, I mean, people are modding all kinds of things and tricking things out, classic and new. So we've got a lot of potential with the platform we've got, as well as upgrading the current platform to something better. And because these cars were actually built with real steel, built with components in their framing, their suspension that you could do stuff with, we've got the potential down the road, God willing, that if we want to drop something a little bigger, a little beefier in here, drop a little heavier transmission or rear end in it, this car's going to handle it.
Oh, absolutely.
So
the bones of this car are very solid. This fish is built to run, swim, if you will. This is a good fish, and this is definitely one not to sleep on.
well, we're definitely going to have a lot of fun. Jerry, I'm glad you come out today. Jerry's going to be hopefully a little more part of the regular videos as we go along, because we got this project that we're working on now. Jerry's got some stuff over at the shop that he's been working on, and we're going to be bringing to the channel. Oh my God, you've got what? You're a 408. You're doing a dual turbo on. We've got a Camaro over there.
408 Silverado. I got a 408 Camaro Z28 with a Tremec T56 Magnum behind it. Well,
Yeah,
stuff.
Looks like our summer is going to be pretty full of stuff. Plus, we've got an upcoming car show the end of May March. I'm sorry, the 22nd of March, the 17th annual Monroe Car Show. Last year we had like 400 cars out there, and hopefully, if our schedules are appropriate, we can do some walkarounds out there, look at some of these great old cars, talk about them a little bit, maybe meet up and get some new people going on. Also, got some great content coming up real soon. Met a gentleman, and he and his wife have got a beautiful factory fresh 65 Barracuda out of Indiana, owned by a wonderful little old lady, garage kept, never driven out in the rain or the stormy weather, 43,000 actual miles. And I looked at the car yesterday, and it looks like it just rolled off the factory line. And we're going to be bringing some video to the channel on it in the future as soon as it comes out of storage to Tony's new house. And we'll be over there. We'll be doing some videos with that car as well. So everybody stay tuned. Big thumbs up if you like the video. Please consider subscribing. We got a lot going on. We got a lot more coming on. Jerry and I are going to be twisting some bolts. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you real soon.